That all means a tremendous amount to me because these are organizations that I respect. The fact that they view me as someone that will advocate for their memberships and will be a sound and a strong legislator is a tremendous vote of confidence. The endorsements of legislators has been equally important to me because the endorsements are not just votes of confidence, but these folks have been helping to mentor me as well. And as somebody who's new to politics, it's very helpful to have somebody that you can ask questions of and to talk through the different policy issues to get some insights into the history behind some of the problems we've been having and what tools we have available to work to fix them. So they've been equally important, but for different reasons along the way. And I am humbled and thrilled to have the endorsements that we've gained.
My state senator is Kwame Raoul, so I was pleased to see that he had endorsed you as well, and he's been a great state senator for us, so that was really exciting to see.
Yeah, very, very proud of the endorsements we've gotten. It means a lot.
Is there anything else that you would like to make sure that our listeners know about you or about your district?
The primary reason I'm running is because I want to do the work. I want to be involved in helping to address some of the challenges that we're facing right now and do the work to help fix those problems and make Illinois a better place for people to live. I've had a career. I'm not looking to make politics a new career. I'm not looking at this as a stepping stone. I truly want to do the work. And where I had that aha moment when I was talking with a relative who was encouraging me to leave the state, thinking that the state was going down the tubes, and that I was young enough still that I could leave. And I literally had my aha moment then and realized that I didn't want to leave. I wanted to be part of trying to fix things. And so I hung up from that call and literally went to my laptop and contacted the people that had been recruiting me and said, I'm in. I'm doing this to represent the folks in my district, to help solve the problems that they're facing and make things better for the citizens of Illinois.
That's great. I too hear from people occasionally that say, oh, Illinois is just, a terrible place. And I love this state. I think it's a great state to live in. And I love that people want to stay here and make it better. So thank you.
My pleasure. It's a very exciting time, and I'm learning new things every day and looking forward to what we can do.
Great. And we will put links up to your website and your Facebook page and your Twitter feed so that our listeners can learn more about you. Thanks so much for coming on and talking to me.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Kelly, and I am here in this segment with Sarah Kader, who is running for City Council in Tempe, Arizona. Hello, Sarah.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So maybe to start, you could tell us a little bit about who you are and why you've decided to run for office now.
So I am from Tempe, Arizona. I am born and raised, and I am a lawyer. So I work as a civil rights attorney at a nonprofit organization called the Arizona Center for Disability Law. We provide free legal services to people with disabilities, and most of my clients are kids living in poverty, mostly kids with autism. I'm a mom, so I have a almost 2-year-old daughter named Aviva. And Aviva and I and my husband Ross live in Tempe, actually in the house that we bought that's next door to my parents. So I'm living in the same neighborhood I grew up in, which is really fun. I just felt this past year really overwhelmed by the election and by the political mess we find ourselves in. And so, I fight every day for families that are really struggling, and I love my work and I feel good about it. And I'm a new mom, and so I'm not short of things to do. But I just felt that complaining on Facebook wasn't enough, and I wanted to figure out something else that I could do to make positive change. And looking locally felt like something tangible I could really do. And Tempe is seen as a fairly progressive city, which is true in some ways, but there's always work to be done. And the closer I took a look at it, the more I saw the need for kind of a champion for working families. And so I decided to go for it.
Great. And so can you tell us a little bit about Tempe? So I believe it's near Phoenix somehow, but you go into a little more detail about exactly where in Arizona it is and sort of what the size and demographics of the city look like.
Sure. So we are in central Arizona, right near Phoenix. We share a border with Phoenix and a lot of the other sort of big cities in the Phoenix metropolitan area. Tempe maybe is most known for being the home of Arizona State University. So we are kind of a college town, surrounded by Phoenix and other major big cities. And we have about 200,000 people in Tempe, and we're kind of landlocked. So we're surrounded on all edges by other cities. So there's not a lot of area to grow outward. So we've been going up a little bit in some ways. So yeah, it's kind of a college town. There's a lot of young students, but there's also a lot of families that have been here for a really long time. My family's one of them, have been here for almost 40 years. And we've got a large Latino population in Arizona in general and in Tempe also, but still majority white here in Tempe. But it's, again, seen as a fairly progressive city in Arizona, certainly in the Phoenix metropolitan area.
And what does the city council itself look like? What's the size of it? And are the seats tied to particular districts, or are they all at-large seats?
So we have 7 members of our city council, and one of those is the mayor, and they are all at large. There are no districts in Tempe. That's been kind of an interesting part that's played out in the campaign, because there are some candidates who kind of want to draw a line between what they're calling North and South Tempe, and I've resisted that. We're not really quite big enough, I don't think, to do that, and we have at-large seats, and there are 3 seats that are on the ballot this election.
And what is the makeup of the city council, or what might it look like? Are there other women on the council? Is the mayor a man or a woman?
So the mayor is a man, and there are currently 2 women serving on the council and 5 men. What is really exciting about my race is that there are 6 candidates, and 5 of them are women. There really is an opportunity to make some change. So actually, 2 of the 3 seats are incumbents running, and 2 of them, there are 2 of the women. So they're running for their seats, and then 1 vacant seat is a man who's leaving the council. But yeah, we have 5 female candidates running, 1 male candidate, and that is exciting, just that there's so many women a part of this race.
Yeah, we keep hearing more and more how many women are running, and that is so exciting. And how many women have just recently decided to run for office, that it's not something that they've been thinking about forever, but is rather something that they very recently decided that they needed to do.
Yeah, that's me. Definitely me.
So can you talk a little bit about what it's like to campaign having a young daughter?
I would definitely say that's been the most challenging part of it for me, just personally and selfishly, and then also for her, I think. I mean, it's hard to know. She's just, she's almost 2, so she's talking a lot, but can't necessarily always articulate her feelings. But just for me, I actually announced that I was running when she was 13 months. So she had just turned a year old, and I decided to go for it. And, for those of us that are moms, we know, we don't feel back to our normal selves right after giving birth. It takes a while. So I think I felt kind of more normal right around when she turned 1. And then I was like, well, let's, do something else crazy and run for office with a 1-year-old. So I've basically been running her entire, second year of life from 1 to 2. And I have to say that knowing why I'm doing this, and that I so deeply believe in the reason for running and what I'm trying to accomplish, is what gets me through. I think if I didn't have that, it would be really hard, because I'm also working full time as an attorney. And so to have a full-time job and then basically spend most of my other waking hours campaigning, whether that's knocking on doors or fundraising or at events, which I just came from, trying to spread the word. I don't have a lot of time at home, and a lot of the free time I used to spend on weekends with her, I'm now spending knocking on doors. And so it is hard to be away from her. And honestly, just keeping it real, she cries when I leave, and that's hard. But I take solace in the fact that hopefully she won't remember those painful moments of me leaving. But like I said, major solace in knowing that I will be able to tell her, when she asks me, hey, Mom, what did you do in 2017? I can say, I ran for office. Helping make a world that we can be proud of, that she can grow up in, is a big part of why I'm doing this for her and kids like her. And as an added, very significant part of the answer to your question, my husband, I really don't think I could do this without him. He has taken on immense amount of childcare and homemaking and cooking dinners and laundry, and pretty much every day after work I'm going off to an event and he's home, and he's also an attorney, so he's working too, but he's taken on so much and done it in stride and never questioned anything and was supportive from the beginning. And to me, that's really what feminism looks like, men supporting women in this ambition. And part of also what I've said is women running for office can't just be retired women or women with older kids. We need to make it possible so that mothers with young kids can run too. And I think my experience, it's pretty challenging because of the time commitment. And so that's sort of a more systemic issue. I don't know if there's any way to really address that. And I'm also still breastfeeding for any listeners that care about that or can relate. And actually just, that's been actually a nice bond to continue on with her since I'm gone a lot. So.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think that's such a good point, and, a real shout out to all the men who are supporting women, as they should be. It's been the reverse for a very long time. Women, really stepping up and supporting the family as a man has been campaigning. And so, I think it's only fair, but it's still very much appreciated. I could not do this podcast. I could not do the activist work that I do if my husband were not so supportive. And so I agree with you that that's a big part of what feminism looks like. And it's a really important part of, sort of changing the culture. And I think it's important for our kids to see that too. Hopefully that becomes the norm.
Absolutely. It's not the glamorous part, but it's such an important part. And it's not, I've liked a lot of the commentary I've read that it's like, Dad's not a babysitter, Dad's dad. And these roles that he's taking, that he's doing are just part of being a parent.
So you talked a little bit about wanting to help working families. What are the issues that you're really concerned with and that you really want to be able to help with if you are on the city council?
My main concern and kind of the platform I'm running on is working families. And I learned that the poverty rate in Tempe is actually over 20%. That's 7 points higher than the national average and higher than Phoenix, which for anyone living anywhere might be surprising, but certainly for those of us living in Tempe, it's really quite shocking. Come here, for the most part, our downtown is just booming. We've got lots of high-rises going in and these beautiful buildings, and, we're putting in a streetcar downtown, and we've just got what seems to be like just a booming, city with lots of growth. The university here is just exploding. I think we're one of the biggest, we're in the top 5 biggest universities in the country. And so we've just got all of this amazing growth, but it's happening in kind of one area of the city. And there are a lot of areas of the city that are really struggling, that are in poverty. And unfortunately, that a lot of those communities are underrepresented. They're also disproportionately represented by people of color, and a lot of them aren't registered to vote. And so their voices just really aren't heard and represented on the council. And so when I learned about this, this is the town I grew up in. This is the town I'm raising my daughter. There are 10,000 kids living in poverty. There are 450 children who are homeless in Tempe. I just couldn't do nothing. I just can't live in a city knowing, blocks away there are hungry kids. It's just not right. And so particularly when we call ourselves a progressive city and we care about sustainability and planting trees, we can't let kids go to bed hungry. So that's my main passion. And given, what I do every day is represent families living in poverty and trying to help them get services because of disability, I wanted to use that expertise and that passion to bring to my hometown. And I just really hope to not be their voice, but be a voice representing those individuals who just customarily haven't felt heard. And ultimately what I think that looks like is balancing out city policies. So we've had a lot of big tax breaks to out-of-state developers, and on the backs of who? Like a lot of families that are really struggling and a lot of local businesses that are having a hard time. So I just feel like we need an advocate on the council, and that's the main reason why I'm running.
Well, that's great. I really appreciate that. And I think that, a lot of people do a lot of